Whatever. Alright, I'm back. This is Stealth from Heroes Workshop with another video. So the Mandalorian project is complete, so moving on to some other videos before I decide what kind of armor I'm going to build next. So I'm going to do a few helmet tutorials. Hope you guys like them. They're just, you know, still be creative while I'm deciding, because I got to be sure what I'm building so I don't lose interest halfway. Makes sense, right? Oh, so bright. Alright, this video we're going to be building the Gray Fox helmet, Cyborg Ninja from Metal Gear Solid series. It's going to be the Play Arts Kai Square Enix figure design, which actually showed up in Metal Gear Rising. Another one of my favorite games, so fun. You know what's amazing? I posted some progress on this helmet as I was building it on my Facebook page, Instagram and stuff. Man, you guys love Gray Fox. You guys are definitely my subscribers. Everywhere I posted it, you guys are doing the lines, like his lines from the whole game. It was crazy. I love it, man. That's why I was feeling good about doing the project. I was like, man, everyone likes Gray Fox, so it's a win-win. We'll see if you're actually watching this. If you're new to foam building and cosplay, I have an in-depth tutorial on this channel on how to do it. It's up here. Click the link at the top right. It will take you to that video. Follow along in the video. Take what you learn. Apply all those techniques to any foam Pepakura file template you come across, and it should be no problem. The best thing you guys can do to help the channel out, so I can give you guys more templates and the channel gets more views, which gets more ad revenue, you know how it works, I'm not going to pretend, is to just like the video and comment. You could even comment, hey, this is for the algorithm. Say, hey, this is for Stealth and the algorithm. Go get this video, algorithm. Yeah, so that's all. Like, the more the channel does well, the more I can give you guys free stuff. So if you'd like to build the whole Gray Fox armor, that file template is in the description as well, but that is a paid file. Kind of exit should I do? Let's do Power Rangers getting blasted by Goldar. First thing you need to do is you need to print out the templates. I recommend printing them out on cardstock paper. You can get 60-pound weight to 110-pound weight, should be fine. Do not use multi-purpose paper because it's too, it's not as rigid as the cardstock paper and it might lift and crease when you're tracing onto the foam. Next, you cut out all the templates using a hobby knife or utility knife, anything you can find that's good, even a fork if you can find one that's sharp. What the hell am I saying? Anyways, just cut the templates out. Whee, look at me go. Next, I take the templates that have seams and I use packing tape to close those seams for later use before. Man, I'm so tired, guys. It's so late. I'm editing this. Just tape the seams, man. I'll show you guys later. Regain my composure. So, taping the seams on these templates will allow you to reduce seams on the foam, so it's less gluing those seams back together. So I'm going to show you guys why I do that when I start applying these templates to foam. Alright, now we're moving on to tracing the templates onto the foam. Okay, so the foam thickness that I use for this helmet is, you better ask in the comments, baby. Gotta do some interact and learn. You gotta play the game. I ain't telling you. Post in the comments and I'll tell you how much thickness I use. How about that? Yeah, hit like too. Trace the templates on the foam. Remember, those templates, some of them can actually be flipped to create the other side of the helmet. So if you're looking at the file, you're like, hey, how come half of the helmet's missing? It's because you flip that piece and it gives you the opposite side. Okay, now we're getting to the parts that I taped up the seams with. They're usually always rounded pieces that I do that with. It's to reduce the seams. And what you basically do is you just take the template and you kind of squish it down and try to avoid the seams opening up as much as possible. Tape the seams up really well so this doesn't happen. So this will reduce the seams, and then when you cut out the piece, then you heat shape it and it'll kind of bring that curve back that you took away. I explained this more in detail on one of the Mandalorian vlogs. You guys can just click the top right and you can check that out. And also check out the Pepakura for Cosplay tutorial series that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. That explains all these kind of techniques in way more detail than this video. Alright, so now it's time to cut out the pieces from the foam itself. You can use a utility knife or X-Acto knife, hobby knife. They're great, depends on your preference. I use both depending on the piece and the type of cut. Remember, when you're cutting out the parts, refer to the Pepakura designer and the model, so it gives you an idea of what kind of angled cut you're going to do. If it's a bevel, kind of like an inward or outward bevel, straight cut, things like that. Like I said, these techniques are explained in way more detail in the Pepakura for Cosplay video. Refer to that for any information on what kind of cut you need to do for any kind of angle. Okay, so some of the cuts, I felt the bevel wasn't angled enough, so I used a rotary tool to add a bit more bevel. I used a sanding bit, and I just kind of took down the angle a bit more, especially these circle pieces. And I also rounded the circle in the front of the helmet where the light's going to be. So I just kind of lightly went over that area just so it's a little bit rounded, and also other areas just to reduce that kind of sharp edge on a lot of the foam. I do this sometimes I don't. Depends how much I care about the project, really, if I want to get it done quick or not. But it's always recommended that you make it look nice and kind of take off those edges so it doesn't look so sharp. Okay, now you take all the pieces that have curves, refer to the Pepakura designer software and look at the model. Anywhere that has a curve, you're going to need to heat shape. I usually heat shape the foam pieces on a styrofoam ball elevated by a roll of packing tape. You can be creative and think of things to kind of shape your foam on. That's what I use. So just heat up the foam on both sides and just kind of press down on the styrofoam ball for a bit, and then when you're done, remove it and it should hold the curve. Do that for all the parts. Then when you're done, you can start assembling the foam pieces. So that was the last step before assembly. Once you're done that, you can start actually putting it together. Okay, so now it's time to glue all the pieces together and assemble the helmet. I'm going to be using contact cement. You can use hot glue if you like, if that's all you can use. So remember, when you're using contact cement, always put the contact cement on both sides of the edge. Don't just put it on one side. The contact cement has to stick to itself. So remember that. And always apply a thin layer. Don't just glob it on. It's very important. All you need is a thin layer. Have a nice tight adhesion. I use foam strips, kind of just cut out from scrap foam, and I use that as a spreader, and it seems to work pretty well. And then just let that dry to like a tacky feel, and then that's when you can start assembling it. Sometimes I'm impatient, so I hit it with a heat gun just to accelerate a little bit. Don't hit it too much with the heat, just a little bit, just to give it a little push, and it should be fine. So now we're going to assemble the helmet. Always use the Pepakura designer and check the pieces, what connects to what. You can just look at the shape and you can see where it connects to. It's pretty straightforward. Remember to just take your time and connecting the pieces together. Try to keep the seams as clean as possible. So don't rush, or you're just going to have sloppy seams that you're going to have to sand down anyways. Okay, so now we're going to get to the sanding stage of this helmet build. So the goal is to bring down the seams and even them out. And I'm using a palm sander with 120 grit sandpaper. I go once over all the seams with that grit, and then I go over again with 240. It makes them pretty smooth, and I'm pretty satisfied with that kind of finish considering it's just foam. And then I can move on. Okay, so now it's time to heat seal the helmet with a heat gun. Doing this should bring down a lot of the roughness caused by the sanding, and just go over the helmet lightly, keep the heat gun moving so you don't burn the foam, and we can move on to the next step. Okay, so now it's time to fill the seams and other gaps and holes that could possibly be on the foam helmet. So to do that, I'm using Quick Seal. It's acrylic caulk. It's flexible and it dries white. So to apply it, I'm just using this cut up playing card. Just put it on the card and then spread it on and fill in all the seams and gaps. I didn't put it everywhere I usually would on all the seams. I was just kind of experimenting with sanding to see how good I can get the seam sanded down, but I always recommend putting the Quick Seal on all seams. That way you won't see the line, and it should be fine. So here I'm simply engraving all the details on the helmet using a hobby knife or X-Acto blade, whatever it's called. And I'm basically just going over and outlining them, and then I'm going over with a heat gun. I'm not carving right through the helmet, I'm just kind of scoring it. And then once I go over with the heat gun, it'll expand those cut lines and make the detail pop, and it'll leave like a kind of like a border around wherever I outlined. Okay, so right now I'm just poking holes into these areas here. They're like these circle areas you'll see around the helmet. After that, I'm going to be inserting these eyelets. Is that what these are called, guys? Eyelets? Yeah? Bueller? It's too old for you guys for reference. I'm going to put super glue those eyelets in, and then once the helmet's all painted white, I'm going to hand paint those red and then outline around that after in black. So now it's time to seal the helmet. I'm using this bounce rubberizer solution. It's actually made for foam coating. I get it at a local supply store, but you can also use PVA glue mixed with water, 2 parts glue, 1 part water, or you can use tacky glue. That stuff's great. I also use that. You can get that from Walmart or Amazon. I'll leave an Amazon link in the description. You can get that too. I just put 1 coat and use a foam brush to apply it, and it self-levels and it dries pretty smooth. Once that's dry, we can move on to prime and paint. First, I primed it with a Vallejo surface primer. Then I went over the helmet with an acrylic white paint. Then I mixed this custom copper color with some metallic acrylics. And then I went over the helmet with a clear coat using the floor wax. So I went over all the panel lines using a black pen, out of all things, right? It actually worked really well. It rolled on each line perfectly and it didn't rub off once it dried. So I did that and just outlined basically all the areas that are black. You can kind of see in the background, Pepakura file, kind of the model gave me a guide as to where the black lines would. I also used real reference, but it was nice to have that model there in front of me. Then I hand painted all the eyelets with some acrylic red paint. For the eyelight, I used an SMD disc and a 9-volt battery connector. I covered it with a red reflector just to diffuse the light a little bit. Just created a super simple circuit and just soldered it all together and just tested the battery first, and then I installed it into the helmet. I used contact cement to glue it inside the helmet. I used this tape here just so I don't blind myself. It blocks the light and also will reflect a bit of the light back out. So for the eye lenses, I used the template piece and I traced it onto this sun visor material. I've used it on other projects like the Mandalorian helmet. I'll leave a link in the description. When you trace the template, remember to also draw a lip around that, because that's going to be your gluing lip, and just cut around that. That way you have something to glue onto when you install it inside the helmet. So for the final details on the Gray Fox helmet, I printed some water slide decals for the Tokugawa Heavy Industries logo on the front of the helmet, and the caution decal on the back where the copper is, copper gold color.
you guys want to see more videos and tutorials, remember to subscribe to Heroes Workshop, and don't forget to set notifications, hit that bell so you never miss a video, and the most important thing, like the video and comment whatever you want, lines from the game, anything. They say what's up, I'll reply, don't worry about it.
Alright everyone, hope you liked the Gray Fox helmet build. I didn't come out 100% flawless. It's tough working with white to get rid of all the imperfections, but I did my best. And I had fun building it, so that's all that matters. Remember, the Pepakura file foam template is free. You can download it. Links are in the description for all the supplies and everything you need to build this helmet. Remember, check out the Pepakura tutorial. The in-depth one on the channel teaches you all the techniques to get into foam Pepakura building and just cosplay in general, the way I build. It's a quick, easy way for beginners to get into the hobby, and I've been using it for a long time, and it's working well for me. I don't have too many jokes this video. I wasn't in the kidding mood. Gray Fox is like, he's legit. He's like a serious character. You don't want to mess around. Like I always say, if you want to support the channel, the best thing you can do is like and comment something below. I reply to pretty much all comments. Say what's up. I'm always around. Your buddy Stealth, aka Uncle Handsome, aka Mr. Lashman with the lashes, aka Super Stubble Supreme. I don't know, I'm running out. Anyways, this is Stealth from Heroes Workshop. I'll be back next week with another tutorial until I can figure out what I'm building for an armor. But these tutorials are cool. I like doing these. Alright, enough talk. See you later. I love Gray Fox. You guys have no idea how happy I am. I love Gray Fox so much. Look how cool. Look how cool. Look how cool. He's so cute. He's so cute. Okay, bye.